We all understand what it takes to build physical strength. The consistent training, the progressive overload, the recovery time, the discipline. But what about the most powerful muscle you possess? The one that determines everything else in your life? Your mind. The most neglected muscle in modern society, and the most important one you'll ever train. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something that could completely transform your life. Treating your mind like the muscle it is, and training it with the same deliberate approach you'd use at the gym. Think about this for a moment. When was the last time you deliberately trained your mind? Not just learnt new information, but actually trained your mental responses, your focus, your resilience? Most of us have mental muscles that are either underdeveloped or completely out of shape. We let our thoughts control us instead of controlling our thoughts. We get mentally winded by the smallest challenges. Our focus pulls a muscle after just a few minutes of concentration. But here's where it gets interesting. Just like your physical muscles, your mind responds to training. It adapts, it grows, it gets stronger through deliberate challenge. And neuroscience is now confirming what great thinkers have known for thousands of years. Mental strength isn't fixed, it's trainable. Before we dive into how to train your mind, let me share how this concept changed my own life. 3 years ago, I was mentally out of shape. My focus was scattered across a dozen different tabs and notifications. My emotional reactivity was through the roof. The smallest criticism would derail my entire day. And my mental stamina, let's just say I couldn't complete even simple projects without my mind wandering off track. The breaking point came during what should have been a relaxing vacation. I couldn't stop checking work emails. A minor problem came up, and I spent 2 days obsessing over it. My partner finally said something I'll never forget. You're physically here, but your mind is a million miles away, and it's ruling you, not the other way around. That comment hit me hard. I realized I needed to start treating my mind like the untrained muscle it was. I needed a mental training program as deliberate as any physical fitness regimen. What followed was a 3-year journey to discover exactly how to strengthen the most important muscle we possess. Today, my mind is stronger, more focused, and more resilient than I ever thought possible. And that's what I want to share with you. The 5 key elements of mental strength training that can transform your mind from an untrained liability into your strongest asset. Element number 1, mental endurance. The first element of mental strength is endurance, your ability to maintain focus and effort over time. Just like physical endurance, mental endurance must be built gradually. Most of us try to sprint before we can walk, then wonder why we mentally collapse. Studies show the average person can only maintain focused attention for about 20 minutes before needing a recovery period. And that's if they're not being interrupted, which happens about every 40 seconds in today's world. Is it any wonder we feel mentally exhausted all the time? Here's how to train your mental endurance. First, establish your baseline. Use a timer and see how long you can focus on one challenging mental task without your mind wandering. Be honest, most people overestimate by about 400%. Next, implement progressive overload, the same principle used in physical training. If your baseline is 10 minutes of focus, aim for 12 minutes tomorrow, then 15, then 20. Just as you wouldn't jump from a 1-mile run to a marathon, don't expect to go from 10 minutes of focus to 2 hours overnight. Equally important is mental recovery. Your brain, like your muscles, needs downtime to consolidate and strengthen. Build deliberate breaks into your training, short walks, brief meditation, or simply staring out the window. These aren't procrastination, they're essential parts of mental endurance training. One technique I've found particularly effective is time blocking with progressive intervals. Start with 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break. As your mental endurance improves, gradually increase to 45 or even 90-minute blocks of uninterrupted focus. Remember, mental endurance isn't about forcing yourself to grind for hours. It's about training your mind to maintain quality focus for increasing periods of time, with proper recovery built in. Element number 2, mental flexibility. The second element of mental strength is flexibility, your ability to adapt your thinking and shift perspectives. Many of us have extremely rigid mental muscles. We get locked into one way of seeing things, one approach to problems, one perspective that we defend at all costs. This mental rigidity is like only being able to move your arm in one direction, severely limiting and ultimately harmful. Neuroscience shows that mental flexibility requires activation of multiple brain networks, connections that literally atrophy when not used regularly. Here's how to train your mental flexibility. First, practice deliberate perspective taking. When facing any situation, challenge yourself to generate at least 3 different interpretations or viewpoints. What might this look like from another person's perspective? How might someone from a different background see this? What's an unconventional angle I haven't considered? Second, regularly argue against your own positions. Whatever you believe most strongly, spend time seriously considering the best arguments against that position. This isn't about changing your mind, it's about developing the mental flexibility to see beyond your default patterns. Third, engage in constraint-based thinking. Give yourself arbitrary limitations when solving problems. How would you address this issue with half the budget? How would you explain this concept to a 10-year-old? These constraints force your mind to find new pathways rather than defaulting to familiar ones. Mental flexibility isn't about being wishy-washy or abandoning your values. It's about developing the strength to consider multiple perspectives and adapt your thinking when necessary, one of the most powerful predictors of both success and well-being. Element number 3, mental resilience. The third element is mental resilience, your ability to withstand and recover from challenges. Just like physical resilience, mental resilience isn't about avoiding damage. It's about how quickly you recover and adapt. Some people are mentally brittle, shattered by the smallest criticism or setback. Others have developed the mental equivalent of calluses, not insensitivity, but the strength to absorb impact and keep going. Research in neuroplasticity shows that resilience isn't an inborn trait. It's a set of mental skills that can be deliberately cultivated. Here's how to train your mental resilience. First, practice controlled exposure to difficulty. Just as muscles grow through the stress of resistance training, your mental resilience grows through manageable challenges. Start with small discomforts, cold showers, difficult conversations, public speaking, and gradually increase the intensity. Second, develop your explanatory style. When facing adversity, practice framing it as temporary, not permanent, specific, not universal, and as an opportunity for growth, not a reflection of your worth. This mental stance toward difficulty is one of the strongest predictors of resilience. Third, build your recovery toolkit. Resilience isn't about never getting knocked down. It's about how quickly you get back up. Develop specific practices that help you reset after setbacks. Physical movement, time in nature, conversations with supportive friends, or structured reflection. Remember, mental resilience isn't something you're born with or without. It's a muscle you can train, and one that will serve you in every area of your life. Element number 4, mental clarity. The fourth element of mental strength is clarity, your ability to cut through noise and see what truly matters. We live in an age of unprecedented mental fog. The average person consumes 5 times more information daily than someone in the 1980s. Our attention is fragmented across dozens of inputs. Making clear decisions in this environment is like trying to lift weights in quicksand. Neuroscience confirms that constant task switching and information overload physically exhausts your brain's executive function, the mental muscles responsible for clarity and decision-making. Here's how to train your mental clarity. First, practice information fasting. Just as intermittent fasting gives your digestive system a break, regular breaks from information intake reset your mental clarity. Try 1 day per week with no news, social media, or non-essential information consumption. Second, implement thought capture. Several times daily, externalize your thoughts by writing them down without judgment. This creates space between you and your thoughts, allowing you to see patterns and separate signal from noise. Third, practice simplification. For any complex situation, challenge yourself to identify the 1 to 3 factors that truly matter. What's the core issue here? What's the one thing that, if addressed, would make everything else easier or unnecessary? This mental decluttering builds your clarity muscle. Mental clarity isn't just about reducing information, it's about training your mind to distinguish between what matters and what doesn't. In a world designed to confuse you, this might be the most valuable mental muscle you can develop. Element number 5, mental intentionality. The final element of mental strength is intentionality, your ability to direct your mind rather than being directed by it. Most people's minds run on autopilot, driven by habits, conditioning, and external triggers. Their thoughts, emotions, and attention are largely reactive, responding to whatever stimulus is strongest in the moment. This is the mental equivalent of being physically pushed around by whatever bumps into you. Neuroscience shows that intentional thinking activates different neural pathways than reactive thinking, pathways that strengthen with deliberate practice. Here's how to train your mental intentionality. First, practice pre-commitment. Before entering any situation, explicitly decide how you want to think and respond. Going into a meeting, decide in advance where you'll direct your attention. Having a difficult conversation, pre-commit to the mental stance you'll maintain. Second, develop values-based redirection. When you notice your mind being pulled in unintended directions, practice gently bringing it back in alignment with your values. Not through force or self-criticism, but through consistent redirection, like training a physical muscle through repeated movement. Third, implement daily reflection. At the end of each day, review where your mind went on autopilot and where you maintained intentionality. This self-awareness creates the feedback loop necessary for improvement. Mental intentionality isn't about controlling every thought that's impossible. It's about developing the strength to guide your mind in directions aligned with your deeper values and goals. Now let's talk about how to integrate these 5 elements into a comprehensive mental training program. 1. Mental endurance, sustain focus and effort. 2. Mental flexibility, adapt thinking and shift perspectives. 3. Mental resilience, withstand and recover from challenges. 4. Mental clarity, cut through noise to what matters. 5. Mental intentionality, direct your mind rather than being directed. Just like physical training, consistency matters more than intensity. It's better to train your mind for 15 minutes daily than for 3 hours once a week. Here's what a basic mental training program might look like. Monday, endurance training. Tuesday, flexibility training. Wednesday, resilience training. Thursday, clarity training. Friday, intentionality training. Weekend, recovery and reflection. Remember, just like physical muscles, your mind doesn't transform overnight. The changes will be subtle at first. A bit more focus here, slightly better recovery there, a clearer decision in a situation that would have previously confused you. But over time, these small improvements compound into profound transformation. The person who trains their mind consistently for a year is almost unrecognizable from where they started. Addressing challenges. Now, let me address some common challenges. Challenge 1. I don't have time for another self-improvement practice. Mental training doesn't always require additional time. Many practices can be integrated into what you're already doing. Use your commute for flexibility training. Transform your work into endurance training by structuring it differently. The key is intention, not necessarily additional time. How do I know if I'm making progress? Like physical training, keep measurements simple but consistent. Rate your focus, flexibility, resilience, clarity, and intentionality on a 1 to 10 scale weekly. Don't expect linear progress, you'll have stronger and weaker days. Look for the overall trend line over months, not days. Challenge 3. This seems like something I have to figure out on my own. While mental training is ultimately personal, community makes a massive difference. Share your journey with at least one other person. Consider finding a mental training partner who can provide accountability and perspective on your progress. We've covered a lot today, so let me leave you with a specific challenge to get started. For the next 7 days, commit to just 15 minutes of deliberate mental training daily. 5 minutes of endurance training. 5 minutes of flexibility training. 5 minutes of reflection on your progress. That's just 15 minutes to begin strengthening the most important muscle you possess. In the comments below, let me know which of the 5 elements you most need to develop, and share your commitment to the 7-day challenge. I'll be checking in and responding. If you found value in this video, make sure to subscribe for more practical tools for mental and emotional development, and check out these related videos on focus training and emotional intelligence. Remember, your mind truly is a muscle. It will either grow stronger through deliberate training or weaker through neglect. The choice is yours. Train your mind with the consistency and intentionality you'd bring to physical training, and you'll develop a level of mental strength that few people ever experience, a strength that will serve you in every area of your life. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.